Is this just fantasy? Or is it just an issue of Savage Sword of Conan? It's kind of both. So, this is going to be the first issue of this I'm covering. I'm going to do other large format, like, magazines like this. Like, I have a couple issues of Epic Illustrated I want to share, and probably Heavy Metal, some old Warren books, like 1984, 1994, like also some special books that they put out that were actually just fantasy focused. But this time around, we're going to do the classic Savage Sword of Conan. So this was just an all black and white book put out by Marvel while they were publishing the color version of the magazine, or I should say the comic, in just called Conan the Barbarian. So Savage Sword was like a black and white book that had, first of all, stellar art. Even just here on the inside cover, this Tony DeZanuga, Conan versus a fucking pterodactyl. Just, yeah, gorgeous black and white art. And that's something that, you know, I'm going to speak the praises of, is that I think great fantasy can be done in just black and white. Because there's, you know, one, black and white art is beautiful. Big fan of just like ink art like this. But also I feel like you can do a lot of storytelling in black and white, and also you can leave room for the reader to add something of themselves or something from their imagination into it. Maybe more so than in color, but again, it all depends on the art style involved. I really love the smear on here, like the little, like it shows like the speed there. It's really nice. So, yeah, Savage Sword was published by Marvel at the same time they were doing the main book. And you can sometimes get a little more violence, maybe a little more, I mean, I was going to say, like, sexuality, but really it's just boobs. Like, occasionally you'll see a boob here. But for the most part, it was very similar to their main book, but just only in black and white. And so here we have our, you know, this little preface, this little Nemedian Chronicles, you know, in the days, you know, before the ocean drank Atlantis, or, you know, between the years when ocean drank Atlantis and the gleaming cities, and the years the rise of the sons of Arius, there was an age undreamed of, when shining kingdoms lay spread across the world like blue mantles beneath the stars. Hither came Conan, the Cimmerian, black-haired, sullen-eyed, sword in hand, a thief, a reaver, a slayer, with gigantic melancholies and gigantic mirth, to tread the jeweled thrones of the earth under his sandaled feet. That is a hell of an introduction, but that basically sums up the kind of fantasy world we're talking about. And like all great fantasy worlds, we have a map. Which, by the way, any independent creators out there who want to make a fantasy book, fantasy stories, make a map. Maps are awesome. They also just add a little bit more realism or legitimacy, or just like it feels like a real world, or a thought of world at the very least. And yeah, we have, you know, all these different kingdoms and all these different places, and you know, so that basically when they say where a place is or where they are in the story, you can get a sense of where they are in the world. And I think that's smart to put that at the front of the book. But right here we have The Road of the Eagles, which is not the name of the story on the front, because the front of the story says Valley of the Vampires, which, first of all, I didn't mention much of this, but this Earl Norham cover is spectacular. I want to just pay special notice to, one, the color. Just love these little pinks and stuff in here, and these green vampire dudes are just so like animated and like, you know, freaky and fun. Love these heads on pikes back here. You know, you got a little castle down here. You know, it's very atmospheric. But, like, these figures are just incredible. Like, look at the musculature here and the expression here. You know, like, just the posing. Everything is so incredible. And I love it. You know, the expression on her face is just, you know, from seeing weird vampire monsters all over the place and, you know, grabbing her and stuff. So, like, just an amazing... Earl Norham is going to be somebody that we're going to see a lot of in these Savage Sword, especially doing covers. Just doing great work. So, yeah, so we're on to The Road of the Eagles. I'm not going to get too specific into the story because I feel like that would take forever because, you know, you want to pour over all of it. We got Roy Thomas writing the script here, which good old Roy is, he loves, you know, this sword and sandal stuff. He loves Conan the Barbarian, and he's the reason that Conan the Barbarian was even made into comics at all. And, of course, thankfully, big John Buscema doing the art here, and we got Tony DeZuniga doing the inking, and that is a great team right there, just putting the art down. And so just, you know, to talk about basic stuff here, I'm mostly going to go through and just highlight, like, great moments that relate to the depiction of the fantasy world. But just from this opening page, it's a great page. It just shows that, like, you know, him and his guys are down and out. You got people just hung up and beaten down. Great use of Zipatone. Because, you know, it's a black and white book, but to get some of that gray in there, they use Zipatone, which is kind of this dot pattern that they could basically kind of emboss onto their artwork and just add a bit of gray tone in there. And they're really making good use of it, putting it in the right places just to make it atmospheric. Great water back here too. Just really, they're like the ocean's tossing them. And also great swords and weaponry, you know, and great costuming, you know. And of course, Conan, you know, one of the things I love is that Conan was not afraid of showing the bod off. And also artists weren't afraid of, like, yeah, he's just not going to wear much clothes, you know, because he doesn't need it. And, you know, so that's great for, you know, some equality, because women tend to be underdressed in the fantasy genre. Well, it's about time people recognize that this guy, he doesn't wear much either. But you know what? I think there's a difference because, I don't know, this seems like a choice and women seem like they're being told to wear what they wear. Not to get political. But yeah, we're just going to go through, talk about some fantasy elements that we're seeing here. One, amazing castle. Look at this castle. Can we appreciate this castle on a cliff? It's great stuff. You know, and also great character design here. He's going to be recognizable. He's got a nice specific hat, you know, beard and mustache. Nice simple use of this patterning here to imply that there's something protective about this. Even though it's kind of torn sleeves right there, there's something nice about that. This feels like it's protective. You know, we got raiders destroying a town here, like basic townspeople. But I will note that, like, there's just a great sense of, like, here, great sense of drama and action. But yeah, again, like, this bow posture looks awesome, looks natural. This great curved sword, you know, the cape there, the horse charging, like, it is this panel right here. This is the magic right here. Just great. Everybody's doing a great job right here. Wonderful. Also great. I love the black box lettering. I'm a sucker for that. I think it's a nice, clean, tight look. And also I love the little helpful arrows telling you go here, and then you go here, and then you go here. So this guy fails to launch. This guy is he's headless now. So the first part of the story is a little lacking in you could say fantasy elements. Yes, it takes place in a fantasy world, but it is a lot of, like, just men you know, on horseback and men in boats, just wreaking havoc and destroying people. You know, we have our lovely lady here who knifes this guy, just, you know, grabs his own knife and just, so props to her, and escapes. But yeah, we're a little light on fantasy elements, and don't worry, it'll change, but that is something that I think can be helpful with a fantasy book, is just to make it feel a little more grounded, because I know, like, I'm a fantasy person who loves, I love magic and stuff. I love weird creatures, and I love, you know, impossible architecture, and, you know, weird nature and all that stuff. Like, I love all the great creative and inventive and imaginative things in fantasy, but I love feeling grounded. I love feeling like I can understand the stakes of this world or of this conflict. It's not simply, oh, this magical thing's gonna, you know, this person's gonna get magic stuff and you better stop them from getting the magic stuff. So, you know, watch out for that. No, instead we are getting, you know, like kind of political alliances, and, you know, from what I read earlier, she's basically like, I know where the heir apparent is, and he's hiding out here, and you can either turn him over to the king, or you can join with them and overthrow the king, and have basically a puppet ruler at your control. So that's the stakes of the story here. It is not like, you know, a magic MacGuffin is at play. It is simply that the art, or it's simply that the geopolitical nature of the world is at stake, and that's something that's believable and buyable. And you may not know the specifics of the characters, but you can understand, you know, like loyalties and such, and the layout of that. So yeah, I think having that kind of strong, grounded, like real world stakes, I think helps fantasy, helps you feel attached to the characters and understand what they're going through. So I'm a proponent of it. Just gonna point out, I love these panels where, like, these kind of more distant shots. I love all these craggy rocks, and then the little zipatone here in the rocks, just to add some texture. But just, yeah, and I love the simplified version of the figure there. I just think it's so, it's you know, in some places a little angular, but like in a real pleasing way. And I just, yeah, and also the horse, everything fits, everything works really well. I just love all this little costuming bits, you know, like nice, like touch on the boots and the gloves, you know, like I love the, you know, the kind of irregular shape of the shield, because it really shows that it's in use. It shows that it's in the era it wasn't machine made, it was handmade. And that's something that I pay attention to when I'm looking at a fantasy, like, art in a comic, is, you know, does it look too clean? Real great panel here. Real great, you know, like silhouettes and small figures, but yet I know exactly what's going on. Love the dynamic between the foreground and the background. And, you know, I love these close up of this archer here. Look at that. Just like real strong grasp there. Love the, like, the knocked arrow there. And I love how the figures they have no zipatone on them. Like, but yeah, just clearly he's looking, you know, Buscema is looking at imagery, or has in the past looked at imagery of archers, and knows, like, yeah, you knock your arrow like right by your cheek, you know, and you let go, you know, and it's yeah, it's just really great. Look at that hand. That hand is amazing. Yeah. Great battle, but yeah, we've seen great battles with Buscema before. Just really great stuff. Love this. That silhouette of that castle up there. That negative space silhouette. It's wonderful. Yeah. And I love using the black here to designate this guy. It's great stuff. Just want to call out, we love these archers in the back. you know, the arrows and stuff, and the billowing smoke, using the zipatone here to show the smoke obscuring the figures. Like, it's, and like this guy, like, look at this horse freaking out. Look at that. It's easy to miss because it's like, it's this chaotic moment and like these guys falling off the horse, but like it all reads accurately and perfectly. And I feel like, again, that's how you feel grounded. It's how you feel like the stakes are real. Like there's real people getting hurt here. It's really something. Yeah, just great page after great page. That's really what we're getting here. Yeah, great conniving figures. Yeah, another great seated figure from John Buscema here. Look at this panel border, because it's showing that it's like a memory, so it's kind of scratchier, hazier. It's really great stuff. Look at this board disinterested, kind of like Prince Adam, like of He-Man, but except he's bored with these women and bored with the drinks. You know, what a place to be in your life, huh? Yeah, real great stuff. I'm just going to point out, I love, the natural world is really important in fantasy, I think. And as far as like how you depict it, and like, just look at the foliage here. I love these leaves, these branches jutting out. Like there's something that's very observed. It's very like that looks like a real natural landscape, and he fits in the landscape really well. This guy, here's trouble. This guy's great. Got like a Ben Gunn hermit here. If you don't know that reference, don't worry about it. Okay, so here's where we get to some really cool fantasy things. So look at all these little holes here. This giant cave. So this is like inside this cave, and we have this like eternal flame here. And these are tombs of the ancients. And basically this eternal flame was put there by a wizard to seal the ancients inside their tombs so that they can't escape and attack the living. Sounds like a Valley of the Vampires, if you ask me. But just, this is a really cool fantasy setting, fantasy world. I love this eternal flame. The panel's great, but all these little like tombs, and it's like, that's a lot of fucking tombs to worry about. And this is a nice little panel here of him looking up and seeing like it all spirals up, and there's like a hole in the ceiling for the sun to come down. So light seems to be important at keeping these things at bay, but it's really, yeah. So like, here's where we get the hint of our first, like, of our fantasy elements. Real great house hatching here. Look at that. Look at that. So beautiful. Sun coming in, those lines there. It's great. Man just sitting eating a snack. It's good stuff. Fantasy needs castles, and you have a gorgeous castle here. Love the texture added to this. Little turrets, minarets. Just amazing stuff. Man passing through a waterfall. Great stuff. Maybe the best panel so far, right here. Like, these rocks just feel real. It feels, just natural wonder. I love the two figures. I love him seated here. The line work is amazing. The distant water, the whippy clouds. That is gorgeous. And another great panel right here. This castle up here, the steep downward view of it, I think, is really what sells it. The distance, up that you are. Really incredible stuff. Also, I love this inverted, like, climbing down panel where, like, they're trying to go down that way, and it's, like, shot from above. Just, clearly somebody's really thinking about it. But yeah, so here we get the turning point, part 2. We have our Prince Adam here, who, heir apparent, who, is just being a puppet of all these different folks. And this lady's gonna help these scoundrels. This lady She's deadly. I love her. Look at this. She's throat stabbed that guy. Which, by the way, look at that silhouette in there. That's great visual storytelling. And like the blood's coming back. That's just wonderful. This again, also great costuming. Look at this door. This ruddy door. And these craggy rocks. Gotta love it. Great perspective running across that bridge. Look at that. And again, this guy's all black outfit. It really helps distinguish him. And he keeps him memorable. More great action from the great John Buscema. You know, it's hard to complain about this stuff, but, you know, coming in and rescuing this guy. You know, interesting use of the zipatone here. I really like it. It adds just a lot of interesting texture. And that's something that I also like, is that they're just kind of using whatever they want to just keep the panels interesting, keep it all, you know. Also great use of zipatone here, isolating this main figure here, you know, with this big old beard. Gotta love it. Here we go. Nice sword fight. And what I love is that this issue is that there's so much action that happens that has nothing to do with Conan. You know, it's this guy who's scheming and planning, and, you know, we got this great sword fight here. We got these arrows being fired. Just really wonderful stuff. And like this guy gets a knife to his throat, and he falls to his death. You know, and it's just, yeah, it's action packed, but it's believable action. It's not just, you know, wizards throwing lightning bolts. I mean, I love a good wizard throwing a lightning bolt. Don't get me wrong. If I could throw lightning bolts, I'd do it all day. But I think that having this kind of very, again, keeping it grounded, I think just makes it feel like the stakes are more believable. So then when a magic element comes in, it feels magical, it feels special. So great stuff. Oh man, look at these guys getting chewed up by these arrows. Gosh, I love all these little arrows. It's so great. And look at that splash of water. Really, really reads right. And then here we got Conan ambushing these suckers. Look at them. Yeah, and all the fighting is great. And again, like all these characters costumed well. Like you keep the costumes simple and basic, but it's because of, you know, how, you know, they're not rich people. They don't have armor or whatever. The best they got is a shield, you know, and they all have the same basic shield, but that makes sense. There's some standardized stuff back then, you know. They picked them off of soldiers at some point, you know, so that helps keep it easier on the artist, so he doesn't have to create complex costumes every single time, but it keeps certain costumes distinct, like this guy. So that way you can keep track of him in a fight, or you can keep track of Conan in a fight. You know, look at that black sword. I like that. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Gotta, if I can, zoom in on this guy. Look at this. Look at that expression. Him gripping this guy. It's just incredible. Like expression, the tension in those fingers. God, I love that so much. You know, Prince Adam's useless in this fight. You know, and we got all these cool silhouettes back here. Getting a cool black sword. Got to remember that from my work. So yeah, we're getting close to our big moment here. You know, so we have all this drama. Even so, this lady, I'm gonna call her Stabarella. She stabs everybody. You know, she stabs the guy she loves, Prince Adam here, and then she stabs herself. Just incredible stuff. Real sensitive too. Like, look, I just love and also I love this little shape here created with the zipatone, you know, but like this 3 panels right here are really great, and I love the shock right here in their faces, and they feel bad. There's great emotion in that, like look at that face right there. Witnessing this woman kill her lover and then herself, like, you know, kind of a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. Well, not really, because Juliet didn't kill Romeo. Well, she sort of did. But anyway, I really love the sensitivity here. I think that's great. And also, I think just it makes this one-off character just so interesting. This is this Zamorian girl. This makes it so much more interesting that they're like, we're gonna give her and her love here a moment. You know, this tragic love story. I think it's great. This is amazing right here. So they're escaping through the waterfall. They're getting chased by this guy. And then he's dripping with water here. He's letting his men go, and he's waiting. And this guy sticks his head through, and bam! Look at this decapitation. Now I need to steal this panel, or just steal something from it, because that's the Cindy the Lauper moment. By the way, Cindy the Lauper is the main character of my comic, Sidequesters. That's Cindy the Lauper, and that's her Lauper. So, if you're interested in reading a similar fantasy story, or not a similar fantasy story, but a fantasy story nonetheless, with lots of action, adventure, comedy, friendship, all that good stuff, and of course, lopping, then check it out. You can buy Volume 1, which collects the first 8 issues, or you can, of course, check it out on Global Comics. But yeah, I think you might like it if you think this is awesome, because it is. It is awesome. All right. So, you know, the storyline seems to be wrapping up, you know, but still no slouch in the art department anywhere. It's all great. And then, you know, as they're trying to escape the ship, or escape to the ship, Conan makes a mistake, and he knocks this guy into the eternal flame. Which, look at that crumpled body on that eternal flame. Look at that. Just look at that. It's so great. You know, we have all these guys coming in after him. He seems like he's outgunned, and then the crack forms, bursts, and then these amazing vampires burst through. Look at these vampires. I love a monstrous vampire. These, you know, they're a little more bestial than Nosferatu, but like still, I love them. I love and just like them breaking through. Look at this great rubble. But again, it's a vampire, which is a thing that you could, you know, it's very familiar kind of monster creature, and yet this is a great like kind of fantasy riff on it, and that they're these beasts. But I also love that they were also the ancestors in this place, that they were sealed in. All that great lore that creates a lot of space for you to imagine more to it. I think that it is wonderful. Got a great shocked expression on his face here. Yeah, and then these vampires come, and he starts a chopping, which again, great panel, and he's chopped up. You know, but like again, I love that they're willing to show him scared. I think that that's great, because again, a lot of people hear Conan the Barbarian, and it seems like he's just one note, you know, super flat, and he's just like a brute and whatever. But like he's clever, he's smart, he has empathy for others, especially those who can't defend themselves. We saw that in the last Conan thing we looked at. But he's gonna be scared out of his mind seeing these things, and I really love that he's reacting to it like it's something to be scared of. So, you know, he goes into a battle with humans, he knows what he's going at, but like here, he's surrounded by these vampires. What the hell is he gonna do? So great stuff. Also another great panel, just him going ham on these vampires. And like he's like, I'm gonna go swinging, and like all these people fighting them. It's just a great chaotic moment, and yeah, just absolutely gorgeous. Great panel after great panel, you know, and now it's just a matter of trying to escape. Look at this leaping slice. That's just great. I mean, I just love this. I love it. And here he comes bursting through the waterfall, and they're getting more with arrows. And like here, and he's vulnerable. He gets an arrow in the freaking back, and he's trying to climb up to that peak where he was before. And and he gets up there where nobody else can get at him, but then he sees that his men have left without him. And so he's on his own yet again. Which, this is how most of the Conan stories end, is he's unless there's a two-parter or something, he kind of just ends more or less in a state of like he's just alone and on his own. But look at that, in 54 pages. So it's we got with a little more matter in the front. So let's say 50 pages. That's a nice, tight 50-page story. You get great action. You get great stakes, an interesting story. You get interesting moments with our main character as well as our non-main character. Get great moments. Also, a really fascinating bit of lore and real fascinating fantasy element. And it's vampires are familiar. This is a different take on it, and it saves it for like the showstopper at the end. And I think that's great. And of course we have people coming up with, what is this, letters? Or no, yeah, so it's just talking about, it's like a glossary of different things, which that's nice of them to do. Great, fantastic art books back here. Barry Windsor Smith, we'll be talking about him, I'm sure, in the near future. Ooh, Sorcerers, that's neat. Of course, the great Frank Frazetta, which we have some art books of his we'll be talking about. First Kingdom, that's a pretty interesting one. Look at Neil Adams doing fantasy. Bernie Wrightson. I'm going to do as much Bernie Wrightson as I can do because I'm a huge fan. He's very influential on me. He's one of my heroes. We got Parsifal by P. Craig Nelson. P. Craig Nelson is also P. Craig Nelson. Russell. P. Craig Russell. Definitely going to be doing some P. Craig Russell in the future. Look who's smiling now. I am, because I just had a ball checking out Savage Sword of Conan with you. So yeah, Savage Sword is an awesome format. I love the kind of anthology-esque format, even though it's about the same character. It's still, you get different creators and different writers every time. Or at least there's a nice circulation of different creators getting involved. And I'm excited that it's coming back. Apparently the publishers at Titan that are doing the new Conan the Barbarian comic, very much in the style of Buscema. If you look at the artist there, he is doing a remarkable impression of him. So yeah, they're bringing back the Savage Sword format, and if I had the chance to be in the Savage Sword of Conan, I would take it, and I would feel like I would love it. I would have the time of my life, and so yeah, if people at Titan, if you're looking for some new and upcoming artists who would love the chance to be a part of Savage Sword of Conan, look no further. I can do it. And just while I have you here, and I already did a shout out for my side questers, I'll also toss in, I have my Haxan short story collection, which, in some ways is similar to Savage Sword, although like volume 2 here it's in color, but it has its own share of action and misfortune and what have you. This one, is all pure black and white, and I think, fans of Savage Sword might take a liking to it. This is it's fantasy stories based around magic users. There's 2 volumes of it. You can also read them over on Global Comics for free. So if you just want to see it because you want to read it, go for it. And then along with the collected version, the side questers, I also have individual issues with my lovely colorful colors. covers. I can talk. But yeah, it's the same as the collected, just in individual issues. So if you only wanted to, say, grab a couple of them just to give it a shot, or if you are a completist and you want the physical versions of them, go right ahead. And then if you like other kinds of comics, for instance, if you like superhero stuff, I also have you there. I got 3-Panel Origin, which is on Instagram. This is the first 3 years collected and remastered. The art here is touched up from what you're going to find online anywhere. It's all done with the traditional 4-color comic style. And all the characters are kind of, a little awkward, like Golden Shower Man. Or Plant Man that can basically tell plants to pollinate so people have allergies. So, great stuff. And also stuff that's exclusive to the print version, including this guy. Superstar, the legally distinct superhero, which is my homage to Adam West and the Adam West Batman. And then related to that is 3PO Comics, which is, also an anthology book. That's not, it's an anthology of me. But it's stories that take place within the same universe as 3-Panel Origin and, are interesting and funny and weird. And, of course, I make fake ads and stuff in it, including these guys right here. I had a lot of fun with these. So, anyway, you can find all of that stuff available, or you can DM me about it. But thank you for joining me with Savage Sword of Conan. See you at the next one.